Finish up our note sheet. So we're going to do the next part of Unit 2, Notes 4, and finishing up that note sheet for you. So today we're going to do just a little bit extra of solving systems by elimination. So the addition today is that sometimes you have to do a little bit of algebraic manipulation in order for elimination to work. So the first thing you need to do is to put both equations in standard form. Okay, so you're going to put both equations in standard form. Then you need to multiply one or maybe even both of the equations by a number so that what you get is something that will cancel out. And then it follows exactly like it did on the previous note sheet. So if you need to pause the video, finish writing this down, go ahead. I'm going to move forward. So let's take a look at these problems. So this is a lot like we did yesterday. So I have x, and I somehow need to cancel these out so that I can get it to work for a variable. So what I'm going to do is I am going to multiply one of these by a -1. So I'm going to take this second equation. It doesn't matter which equation you multiply to get that negative. So my top equation is going to stay the same, and then I'm going to change the signs of everything so that we have our opposites. When you multiply by a -1, that doesn't mean you automatically make everything negative. If it's already negative, you leave it. That's not true. It means you need to change the signs of everything. So now we need to add down the columns. Our x's cancel out. 2y minus y is just going to give us y. And 10 minus 6 is going to give us 4. So now I can take and I can plug this back into the original problem. So I'm going to take this 4 and I'm going to plug it in for either one of those y's. It doesn't matter which one. You could even plug it into that one if you wanted to. I'm going to plug it into this one. So we have x. Now instead of writing y, I'm going to write 4 is equal to 6. So x plus 4 is equal to 6. Subtract 4 from both sides and you get that x is equal to 2. So now I'm going to write that out as a coordinate point x, y. So I have 2, 4 as my coordinate point. Next, let's go ahead and let's take a look at number 2. Again, you're going to have to multiply by a negative. So I'm going to take this second equation and multiply it by a negative. So I have the first one that stays the same. I don't know why. I always multiply the second one by a negative. And I can do that because our y's have the same number on the outside. They both have 1. And so the second equation, all of the signs are going to change. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and add down the columns. Okay, so 2x minus 3x is just going to give me a -x. 4 minus 8 is a -4. So now I can go ahead and I can divide both sides by a -1, and that gives me that x is equal to a +4. So now I can take that x and I can plug it in for either one of those values. I'm just going to plug it into the first one. So I'm going to take x out completely and I'm going to put 4 in instead. And then I have y is equal, plus y is equal to 4. Well, 2 times 4 is 8, plus y is equal to 4. Now I'm going to subtract 8 from both sides and I get that y is equal to a -4. So I get that x is equal to 4 and y is equal to a -4. So I'm going to write that out as a coordinate point, first with my x coordinate, then with my y coordinate. Let's take a look at number 3. So for number 3, I need to, again, multiply by a negative. Well, I see my x's both have 2's. So I'm going to multiply the second one by a -1 so that I can get opposite signs on those 2's. So my top equation is going to stay the same. My second equation, all of my signs are going to change. And now I'm ready to add down the columns here. So 2x minus 2x, that's going to cancel out. -3y minus 2y is -5y. 1 minus 6 is -5. So now to solve this for y, I need to divide both sides by -5, and I get that y is equal to 1. So y and 1 are the same thing. So where I see y here, here, or even there, I can plug in my 1. Well, I'm just going to plug it into the first equation. So I have 2x minus 3. Now instead of writing y, I'm going to write 1 is equal to 11. Okay, so now what I'm going to do, 2x minus 3 is equal to 11. So now I need to get that 3 over to the other side. So I'm going to add 3 to both sides, and I get 2x is equal to 14. Divide both sides by 2, and I get that x is equal to 7. So x is equal to 7, and y is equal to 2. So we get 7, 2 as our final answer for that one. Next, let's take a look at number 4. So for number 4, again, we have to create our opposites. So I'm going to multiply this second one by a negative 1. So I have 5x minus 4y is equal to 30. Now I'm going to change the signs of everything. So this is going to become a negative 4x. Then that's going to become a positive 4y and a negative 32. And now I can add down the columns. So 5x minus 4x is just x. The 4y's are going to cancel. 30 minus 32 is negative 2. So I get that x is equal to a negative 2. So now I want to substitute my x back in. I can do that here, I can do that here, or I can do that there. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to plug it into that top one. So I'm going to do 5. Now I'm going to put in a negative 2 for x minus 4y is equal to 30. Well, 5 times negative 2 is a negative 10 minus 4y is equal to 30. So now I want to get that negative 10 over to the other side. So I'm going to add 10 to both sides, and I get a negative 4y is equal to 40. And now I want to take that negative 4 and divide it over to the other side. So I'm going to divide both sides by a negative 4, and I get that y is equal to a negative 10. So y is equal to negative 10, x is equal to negative 2. And that's your final answer. Moving forward, let's take a look at number 5, because number 5 is a little bit trickier. So we have opposite signs, but we don't have the same number. So what I notice is that my ends have opposite signs. I have 1 and I have 3. So then I'm going to ask myself, okay, what do I need to multiply 1 by to get to 3? Well, and that's going to be 3. So what I'm going to do, since I already have the opposite signs, is I'm going to take that second equation and I'm going to multiply it by 3. So my top equation is going to stay the same. Then my bottom equation, everything is going to be multiplied by 3, including that 8. So we make sure we get that 24. So then I can go about doing elimination like I have been doing. 6m plus 3m is 9m, and that's going to be equal to 27. So now I'm going to divide both sides by 9, and I get that m is equal to 3. So now I know that m is equal to 3. I'm going to plug it into this top equation up here. Again, it doesn't matter which one you choose to plug it into. So I'm going to take out my m and put 3 in instead. Plus 3n is equal to 3. So 3 times 6 is 18, plus 3n is equal to 3. So I'm going to subtract 18 from both sides. So we get 3n is equal to a negative 15. Divide both sides by 3, and we get that n is equal to a negative 5. So then I'm just going to put that in the parentheses in numerical order. M is 3, n is negative 5, or sorry, in alphabetical order. So that's your answer for number 5. Now, taking a look at number 6. Number 6 is similar. Okay, I see that I have opposite signs on my y, but I don't have the same number. So I ask myself, what can I multiply this 3 by to get 12? Well, I can multiply it by 4. So I'm going to take this and multiply it by 4. So I'm going to go ahead and distribute that 4 in on that top one. So 2 times 4 is going to give me 8. So then we have 8x plus 12y is equal to 8. And then the bottom equation is going to stay the same. So now we're ready to go ahead and add down our columns. Well, 8x plus 4x is going to give us 12x. And then our y's are going to cancel. 8 minus 68 is negative 60. Divide both sides by 12, and you get x is equal to a negative 5. So x is equal to a negative 5. So where I see x up here, I can plug in negative 5 to either one of those. I'm going to plug it into the top one. So we take x out and put negative 5 in instead, plus 3y is equal to 2. So we have negative 10 plus 3y is equal to 2. Then I'm going to add 10 to both sides since that 10 is negative. And I get 3y is equal to 12. Divide both sides by 3, and I get that y is equal to 4. So my x is equal to negative 5, and my y is equal to 4. So that represents my solutions. Okay, let's take a look at these word problems. I want to at least get them set up for you. So let's take a look at number 7. Dante spent an $11.25 on 3 new, which is going to be X, and 4 old, which is going to be Y. So they bought 3 new comic books at price X, 4 old comic books at price Y, and it was $11.25. Okay, so it was $11.25 for that one. Now, here's the trick. When you go to this one, it has 10 old and 3 new. Well, what I just wrote is wrong. Okay, sometimes students assume that they're going in the same order, but you're not. Old came first. Remember, old is represented by Y, and new is represented by X. So here we have 3X plus 10Y is equal to 1575. Okay, so remember, X is the price of new and Y is the price of old. So now what we need to do is we need to set this up for elimination. So we're going to multiply one of these by a negative. So when we do that, we end up with 3X plus 4Y is equal to 1125. Negative 3X minus 10Y is equal to a negative 15.75. What I would like you guys to do is I would like you guys to solve this one on your own. When you label X, you're going to want to put the dollar sign and say new comics. When you label Y, put the dollar sign and say old comics. All right, let's take a look at this one. So Amy is walking in a straight path that can be represented by that given equation. At the same time, Kendra is walking a straight path in that equation. So we want to figure out when they're going to be at the same coordinate point, which is when they're crossing. So let's go ahead and let's take a look at that. So the first equation is already in standard form. That's good. We're ready to go for Amy. Kendra is not. So what we have to do for Kendra is we have to actually subtract 6x from both sides. So for Kendra, we end up getting 6x plus 3y is equal to 6. Now, what we need to do is we need to match these up. I don't have same coefficient or opposite signs. I notice that I have 3y here and I have a 1y here. 1 is always really easy to work with. So I want to take 1 and I want to make it the opposite of 3. So that's going to be a negative 3. So I'm going to take this guy right here and multiply it by a negative 3. So then I end up getting 6x minus 3y is equal to negative 9. Then for that next one, negative 6x plus 3y is equal to 6. So now I'm ready to use elimination. Well, what's going to happen when I add down the columns is they cancel out here. So I end up with 0 is equal to negative 3. That's never going to happen. So there's no solution. What does that mean in terms of the word problem? Well, that means that they're never going to cross each other. Last but not least, let's get this last one set up for you. So we're talking about a shipment of TVs. I'm going to let X represent the amount of TVs weighing 30 pounds and Y represent the number weighing 50 pounds. So between the 30 and 50 pound TVs, we need to have 20 of them. For every X 30 pound TV, it's going to weigh, well, 30 pounds. For every Y 50 pound TV, it's going to weigh, well, 50 pounds. And that needs to add up to 880. So now to solve this by elimination, I want to take and I want to make these opposites. Well, what's the opposite of 30? That's going to be a negative 30. What do I need to multiply 1 by to get negative 30? Negative 30. So we'll take that negative 30 and distribute it in. So we get negative 30x minus 30y is equal to negative 600. And that second equation is going to stay the same. So this is all set up for elimination for you. So I want you guys to go ahead and solve this using elimination. Make sure you label X 30-pound TVs and Y 50-pound TVs. That concludes your note video. Thanks for listening.